Hello everyone, this is part 6 of What If Naruto Traveled Back in Time and Changed, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Hyuga Compound, Branch Family Main Office, a month after Naruto's 10th birthday. Hisashi was sitting in his office and reviewing some of the paperwork for the Branch family. As the head of the Branch family, it was his duty to process requests, minor marriages, troubleshoot any of the issues that plagued the Branch family and other things that a clan head would typically handle. He knew that he had much more authority than a typical Branch member because his twin brother was the head of the main family, and he appreciated his brother for that. Hisashi's only had two real problems with the Hyuga clan: the use of the caged bird seal, especially when it came to his son Neji, and the enslavement of the Branch family as a whole. These were not minor grudges, these were not minor issues, and there was no clan in the elemental nations that still practiced such barbaric traditions. He couldn't understand how slavery was illegal in Fire Country, but the enslavement of the Branch family of a noble clan was acceptable. It was a common train of thought for Hisashi, and it was one that plagued him daily. He was just finishing an incident report from one of his Branch family women, a report he knew would result in no action. Elder Ataro, the lecherous old bastard that he is, had raped Hiyami, a Branch woman that was married to another Branch member. Of course, Hiyami only told him in confidence, and she didn't want to make her current situation worse, but it filled Hisashi with a cold rage that always bubbled right under his calm facade. Unfortunately for Hisashi, instances like these were common and there was no end in sight. Hitomi, the late wife of his brother, was his best hope to end the practice of using the caged bird seal. With her death, he had lost hope and he could not bear to see the seal used on his son. Hiashi had done what he could to ensure that the seal was not overused, but the miserable main family loved lording their power over their own family. He was about to finish up for the night, when a guard escorted a messenger into his office. After signing for the message and dismissing the messenger, Hisashi opened the letter. To Hisashi Hyuga from the Konoha branch of the Neighborhood Watch. After reading this, Hisashi immediately activated privacy seals in his office before he continued reading. He was truly interested in hearing from the organization that had saved his clan from what was sure to be an epic tragedy. We hope this letter finds you well. As we have previously stated, our organization's goal is to make the world a better place. Our agent in Konoha has informed us of the practice concerning the caged bird seal, and we wish to offer you our assistance in this matter. We have reached out to you because we heard you were a man of honor, and you represent the Branch family. Before we begin, if you wish to accept our assistance and become an informant for our organization, we will need you to sign a blood contract. The seal on the bottom left corner unlocks the blood seal and the other seal will not activate unless the contract is signed. Please take your time in making this decision, but if you wish to save your side of the family and your son, please keep this letter to yourself. Please make your choice. Hisashi sat back in his chair and thought about it briefly. He would at least read what the contract had to say. He realistically had no other choice, and this could be the lifeline he needed to save his son. At this point, he no longer cared about himself, he only cared for the future of his son that was growing into a prodigy of the Hyuga clan. He pulsed chakra into the seal on the bottom left and a blood contract came out. He opened it and read the contract with hope in his heart. The contract came down to an agreement between Hiashi and the Neighborhood Watch that he would provide intelligence and assistance to the designated representative of the organization in return for assistance in removing the caged bird seal. There was a mutual agreement to secrecy, which was why the blood contract was needed. In the event of a breach in terms of contract, the Signy's chakra would be sealed indefinitely. Hisashi looked and saw that there was a bloody handprint from the organization's side and his name was written next to it with space for his handprint. The choice was not a hard one for him. If it meant getting rid of the caged bird seal, he would do anything. Danzo had made offers to him in the past, but Hisashi trusted the Warhawk even less than this unknown organization. At least the watch had done something for his clan already. Hisashi took a kunai and cut his palm before smearing the blood onto each finger and placing his handprint on the contract. The contract disappeared in a puff of chakra smoke and Hisashi saw the right seal on the original scroll activate before another puff of smoke. After the smoke cleared, Hisashi saw 2 tags and another note. He decided to read the note first and hoped that it would explain what the sealing tags were for. To Hisashi Hyuga from Naruto Senju Uzumaki. I am glad that you chose to trust us. You may be thinking that I am only a child, but let me assure you that I have the power to help you. When I was 4, I was nearly killed, and my father's seal activated. I met my father, and he used a chakra imprint to pass his knowledge on to me. In case you don't know who my father was, he was Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage. Since that day, I have worked in the shadows with my father's knowledge to help make the world a better place, and I started with the Hyuga. I have a bit of good news and bad news. I prefer bad news first, so I will start by telling you that I will not be returning to Konoha for a year and a half. I implore you to use that time to get as much information on the caged bird seal as you can. If you get me the information, I will be able to remove the seal. I have already created a superior Dujutsu protection seal, but I need the seal's composition before I can safely remove it. With the bad news out of the way, I will share some good news. I have included 2 seal tags in this letter. These tags will negate the prisoner aspect of the caged bird seal, which means you can no longer be tortured for no good reason. I will provide more in time, but I do not want to draw too much attention from the main family before I can effectively remove the cursed seal. I would ask that you use one on yourself and the other on your son. I ask you to use one on Neji because I know that is your only true weakness. Inform him of the absolute necessity for discretion. While he is not bound by the contract, he could still blow our cover before I have the chance to make things right. I will end by reminding you that discretion is the better part of valor in this case. If anyone attempts to activate the seal, fake the pain. Do not change how you act, do not draw attention to yourself, and tell no one about our interactions. The blood seal is very efficient at detecting betrayal, and I do not wish to lose such a valuable ally. I promise you that the end is in sight, Hisashi Hyuga, just stay strong a little longer. Your new ally, Naruto Senju Uzumaki. Hisashi sat back in his seat to process this revolutionary information. This was life-changing and it was everything he could ask for. Not only that, but he had an ally in the Senju clan that could back him up. Knowing that Naruto was part of the neighborhood watch and that had access to his father's knowledge was immensely reassuring. He took a deep breath and told himself that the end was in sight. A smile found itself on his usually stoic face as he picked up the tag and removed his Hiashi. He applied the seal over the cursed mark on his forehead and felt the seal activate. Serenity filled his body and he felt happier than he had ever felt. He took another moment to appreciate the feeling before he immediately set out to find Neji. Land of Waves, Senju Villa, 2 months before Naruto returned to Konoha. Who knew that multiple personality disorder could be so much fun? Naruto had effectively integrated Kurama and his alternate egos into the Senju family and they were invaluable allies and training partners. Yosuke and Naruto were currently on the training grounds, and they were in the middle of a kenjutsu match. Through the use of wood and shadow clones, Naruto was able to study his mother's sword style that used a mid-length katana in his right hand and a wakizashi in his left hand. The sword style was called Twin Dancing Dragon Tails and it was created by his mother as a 2-sword variant of Azu's Rampaging Dragon style. Yosuke and Naruto had worked to master their kenjutsu skills ever since Naruto's 10th birthday. The last year and a half produced significant results, but the katana was still too big for his child body, which reduced the efficiency of the style. That didn't stop Naruto from committing it to memory and using it to the best of his ability. He felt like he was bonding with his mother every time he ran through the katas, and he knew the increased reach granted by the swords would help compensate for his current lack of reach. Yosuke lived for the training sessions with Naruto. Since he was the warrior aspect, he fulfilled his sense of meaning by honing his skills on the training ground. Yosuke had to start from scratch along with Naruto, since his original never learned kenjutsu in his previous life. Without the guidance of a true sensei, the 2 boys would review scrolls and practice their skills together. As a clearer divide was established between the 2 egos, it made training more effective, and they were able to refine each other's styles and correct mistakes they saw. As they say, steel sharpens steel and that was the nature between Yosuke and Naruto. Since Yosuke was only a wood clone, roughly 1/5 as strong as Naruto, the difference in strength and speed was compensated for by resistance and weight seals. The 5-pound bands Naruto started with were now 40 pounds apiece, along with 50 pounds on his chest and back. The restrictive seals made the original, Naruto, move at roughly the same speed as his wood clone and kept sparring sessions with Yosuke effective. In addition to training with Yosuke, Naruto had daily lessons with Kurama. By infusing Kurama's yokai and soul into the wood clone, the wood clone was actually stronger than restricted Naruto. Naruto was able to push about 1 tail's worth of chakra into the wood clone, which made Kurama an absolutely terrifying taijutsu instructor. Kurama knew 2 styles, Swift Fox, and Rampaging Tails. Naruto chose to learn the Swift Fox style first, which was centered around speed and deception. This meant Naruto endured a bunch of speed training under Kurama's watchful eye, which meant that Naruto's daily torture sessions consisted of sprints, lunges, core training and other various speed exercises. There were speed ladders painted onto the ground next to 4 boxes and various heights of jumping blocks. There was also a weighted sled, a weighted wagon wheel and a whole other collection of random workout gear. Kurama said that humans used to call this training style CrossFit training, and Naruto came to respect and fear CrossFit. The training sessions started with calisthenics and stretching before Kurama would do 20-minute, high-intensity workouts that strengthened Naruto's young body. Kurama kept track of Naruto's, Tsunade's and Shizune's results on a chalkboard in the training ground. Being able to look at his personal bests and his progress was a good motivator for the blonde, especially when notes were made on resistance seal level and weight level. Naruto always marveled at the fact that his grandmother could whoop his butt in the various workouts with 5 times the amount of weight at resistance level 5. Naruto's tiny body was still at resistance level 3, even after training for so long. Of course, this was managed strictly by Tsunade, who didn't want to stunt his growth, a fact that Naruto was forced to accept at risk of a blow to the head from her super strength. After physical workouts in the morning, Naruto trained his mind from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. He studied various topics that he never had the patience for in his previous life. History of the elemental nations, clan history, math, biology, human anatomy and physiology, physics, the fundamentals of chakra and chakra natures, the purpose of hand seals and their aspects and many other topics. In truth, Naruto was so interested in these topics because they were key to his progression in Fuinjutsu, which was how Naruto would be able to make the greatest impact on the shinobi world. After another round of physical training and workouts from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. and chakra training from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., Naruto had his nights to worry about his businesses and the neighborhood watch. Naruto had partnered with clothing businesses centered out of wave that applied seals to a variety of clothing. Women's brass with the weight support and pain reduction seals, ninja clothing with self-repair seals, clothing with temperature control seals woven in, and Naruto's newest addition was women's underwear with anti-rape seals, which were Ria's idea. From these small businesses alone, the Senju clan was nearly as wealthy as it was before its fall when it had hundreds of members. Naruto used the money to fund the building of Tazuna's bridge, which was nearly finished, the orphanage in Wave, the academy in Wave and a number of small businesses in Wave and Suna. Naruto used a workforce of nearly 100 clones every day to create the seals for his clothing lines alone. Luckily, with Kurama's full self in him and the seal open, Naruto had a nearly endless supply of chakra that he could use to create his workforce. Naruto found it so much more rewarding to use Fuinjutsu in this way rather than simply creating sealing scrolls and explosive tags. Naruto had been working on a couple of pet projects over the last couple of years, but one was more important than the others to him because it would help his mama. Tsunade had taught Naruto about the strength of 100 seal that she has on her forehead. Naruto knew that the seal put great stress on her body, which resulted in her shortening her lifespan and draining her life force. The seal was the result of her storing and focusing chakra to a single point, in Tsunade's case her forehead, and it stored massive amounts of yang chakra that would allow her to heal through normally fatal injuries, and it enhanced her strength and healing jutsu. These were massive upsides, but Naruto knew it could do so much more if yin chakra were integrated into the seal. After studying the base notes and reading up on yin release in scrolls from the Uzumaki library, Naruto was able to modify the seal. The only downside was that it was going to cost a literal ton of chakra to do so. Naturally, Naruto turned to his only known source of that quantity of chakra and struck a deal with Kurama. After discussing it with Tsunade, she agreed to the terms, and they were finally able to alter Tsunade's seal. It had some unexpected but welcome results. After going through the sealing ritual and using 4 taels worth of Kurama's yin chakra, the seal turned from a single purple diamond on Tsunade's forehead into a double-layered diamond that was a golden color that almost matched her hair. After the ceremony, which required Tsunade to drop her henge, an exhausted Naruto noticed that Tsunade looked much younger. In fact, Tsunade looked like she was in her prime again, almost like she did shortly after fighting Hanzo in the Second Shinobi War. She was so grateful that she wrapped Naruto in a bone-crushing hug before placing an excited K on the exhausted and crushed boy. After Naruto recovered from the sealing ritual, he let Kurama out and Tsunade took him into her room. A minute later, the blushing Kitsune came out of the room, flashed a thumbs up to Naruto and said 2 words, "Worth it." A blushing Tsunade came out of the room and gave an embarrassed motherly smile to Naruto. Turns out, Kurama gave Tsunade 4 taels worth of chakra in exchange for being added to the Senju family and 1 minute of seeing Tsunade's blessed rack. He wanted to be added to the Senju family so that he could move freely in Konoha when they finally returned, and who wouldn't want to see Tsunade Senju naked? On top of all this, one of his new abilities required constant training and diligence. Naruto constantly worked on his Mokuton abilities with aid and guidance from Hashirama's notes and Jutsu scroll. He used Hashirama's notes to first master his earth nature affinity, but he would have to tell his great-grandfather that his brother was much better when it came to the water nature. He used Tobirama's notes to get an in-depth understanding of the water element, which was essential before he began working on the more advanced of Hashirama's jutsus. Naruto took Hashirama's notes to heart and learned that the Mokuton was actually the combination of water, earth and nature chakra. This meant that Naruto would need Sage Mode to truly master Mokuton, but his daily meditation sessions allowed small amounts of natural energy to reside in his chakra circulatory system. That, combined with Kurama's natural energy, enabled him to work with the natural energy of the world. Naruto used the 6 years of training to master the wood element, and it had produced some decent results. Unfortunately, the signature techniques of the first Hokage remained out of his grasp despite 6 years of constant effort. Naruto had great chakra reserves, he had advanced tenketsu, he had great chakra control, but it was all meaningless when trying to use Mokuton ninjutsu like Wood Dragon, Deep Forest Emergence, Nativity of a World of Trees, Top Transformed Buddha, and True Several Thousand Hands. These were all of the wood jutsus that allowed Hashirama to take on Madara while Kurama was under his control. These were the techniques that could fight a Susanoo head-on. These were the techniques Naruto thought he would need if the Fourth Great Shinobi War were to happen again. Naruto used the last month before he returned to Konoha to visit his friends and honorary family in Suna. He wanted a chance to be with Temari and Kankuro before they would be separated for a year or so. Since Naruto had matured a bit, the 14-year-old Temari was more direct and forward in her advances. Nothing more than K happened, but both parties admitted that their feelings were very real. It left Naruto with a lot to think about as he was headed to Konoha, which would mean confronting memories and reconciling feelings for 2 of his past loves. Fire Capital, Kinji's private meeting room, 2 weeks before Naruto's return to Konoha. Kinji had spent the last 2 years working behind the scenes to dig up evidence on Danzo and expose some of the rot that plagued Konoha. He finally had enough evidence to make his move on Danzo and issue a strong warning to Hiruzen. He had called them to the capital under the guise of preparing for the return of the Senju and their SITREP for Konoha. It wasn't strange for Hiruzen to come to meetings like this, but Danzo didn't know why he was invited. As Danzo approached the fire capital, he mused about his ongoing projects. His attempt to ostracize the Uchiha clan in an attempt to get Sharingan had failed miserably. It was in large part due to Hiruzen stripping him of his power and watching his every move, but it was still an infuriating setback. Hisashi had denied every attempt at communication, even when Danzo threatened his son Neji. His threats resulted in the deaths of 4 of his root operatives, a minor setback, but a setback, nonetheless. Next was Kiri, which was a mystery to Danzo. He had worked through third parties to prolong the war and use the chaos to acquire more orphans for his root program. Things were going well before he lost Gato 2 years ago. Then there was the loss of multiple operatives in Kiri, which resulted in the area going dark. The war was still ongoing, but it was clear that Yagura was on the back foot. He didn't have enough agents or influence to expand back into water country. He had bigger problems much closer to home. Then there was the Senju brat. Danzo was infuriated that the boy was helping other countries rather than directing his efforts toward Konoha. Danzo planned on using this meeting with the Fire Lord to expose the harm the Senju clan was doing to Konoha. His operatives were no longer able to get into Suna, Kumo or Kiri. They were all being thwarted by similar seals to the ones first discovered in Suna. Danzo didn't have proof, but he knew the Senju family had something to do with it. Danzo tensed as he was escorted into the daimyo's meeting room by the Guardian 12. As soon as the door was closed, he noticed the loss of his chakra. He couldn't call on it to do anything and his body felt exhausted, as if his old age finally caught up with him. He could tell Hiruzen noticed it too, which was not comforting in the slightest. Danzo followed Kinji's instructions after exchanging greeting and took a seat in his designated chair. That was the moment Danzo knew he was Ed. Kinji smiled as he saw the two men sit down and he savored the shock that showed on each of their faces. He let it sink in for 15 seconds or so before he fixed a firm gaze on the pair and spoke in his most professional tone while projecting his aura. There was once a time that I called each of you a friend. Hiruzen, we have worked on your numerous issues for the last 6 years and we have made substantial progress. You are where you are right now so that you do not interrupt what needs to be said and done. Kinji paused here and noticed Hiruzen relaxed marginally while Danzo tensed at the implication. Kinji turned his stern gaze to Danzo and addressed him. Danzo, the reason you are both here today is because many of your heinous actions were brought to my attention. While I commend you for your discretion, I completely condemn your short-sighted actions. Before I list the charges, do you have anything to say for yourself? Danzo was completely paralyzed, and his chakra was not responding to his call. He was powerless to do anything, but he was a shrewd politician, and he could talk his way out of this. Lord Kinji, I am a faithful servant of Konoha and the Land of Fire. Everything I have done has been for the betterment of our lands. I do not know what charges you speak of, but I am sure that there has been a misunderstanding. Danzo's slippery tongue felt like a snake in the grass to Kinji's ears. Kinji flared his aura and glared at Danzo. You have the audacity to lie to your lord. Very well, do not believe me. Luckily, I have a seal master at my disposal. Asuma, would you do the honors? Asuma walked forward with an apologetic look to his father. He placed a seal on the chest of each man and the seals flared to life in a burst of blue chakra. Asuma wordlessly returned to his post and Kinji took control of the conversation once again. Danzo, your first charge is the genocide of the hidden village in the Land of Wood. You stand accused of 169 counts of murder, inciting a war with a neutral village and forced abduction of the surviving children. How do you plead? Kinji's tone was cold as ice as he listed the charges. Not guilty, was Danzo's simple reply before the seal on his chest glowed red. We will add lying to your daimyo to the list of charges. Moving on, you are charged with assisting a known traitor of the Land of Fire, Orochimaru the Snake Sannin. There were numerous findings linked to this charge indicating that you are still interacting with the traitor. How do you plead? Danzo was sweating. The first charge could be played of as an ugly necessity of the shinobi life. This current charge was serious and would result in his execution. Danzo gulped before trying to school his emotions and control his body to fool the seal on his chest. After taking a deep breath, Danzo answered. Not guilty. Kinji sighed, another lie. Very well, I don't feel like going down this whole list, so I will skip to this charge, and I can prove here. Danzo Shimura, you stand accused of unlawfully acquiring a Sharinganai, the rightful property of the Uchiha clan. While we were not able to find when or how, I believe that the proof will be obvious. Anything to say before we unwrap your bandages? Danzo's fear turned into fury. He was trying to force his chakra into the seal on his chest. If he was going down, he would take these fools with him. He tried stalling to force the minimal amount of chakra he has collected to the seal, but it was for naught. Rather than allow Danzo to stall, Kinji made a motion with his hand. This time, a different guard moved forward and began to unwrap Danzo's bandages. Hiruzen didn't know whether to celebrate or panic. He had been in direct opposition to Danzo for years now and he no longer wished to cover for his one-time rival. The charges against Danzo were shocking, but nothing he hadn't suspected. Hiruzen was actually wondering who directed the daimyo's attention to Danzo and why. He would begrudgingly admit that route was necessary, although he would also admit that Danzo took it too far. He decided to keep his face neutral and watch how this played out, not like he had much of a choice. As the Guardian finished unwrapping Danzo's bandages, Danzo had his right eye closed. He was obstinate when Kinji ordered him to open the eye, so the Guardian forced his eye open. Sure enough, there was a 3-tomo Sharingan spinning lazily in Danzo's eye. The Guardian showed Kinji, who immediately rose to his feet and flared his aura. Danzo Shimura, you are accused of multiple counts of high treason to the land of fire. Your name will be stricken from the shinobi registry. Your clan assets will be seized, your rank and les stripped, and your name will be removed from the annals of history. You are to be executed immediately for your crimes. Have you any last words? Danzo's face contorted into rage as he willed his body to do anything. It didn't respond, so he decided to go the vindictive route. You and Hiruzen are soft-hearted fools. You need me to preserve the greatness of this pathetic nation. Neither of you have what it takes to do what is necessary. If you kill me, this nation will fall. Your lasted words are noted and forgotten. Mirai, if you will do me the honor of executing this traitor, it would be much appreciated. With a rapid stab to the heart, Danzo died in disgrace. His body slumped into the chair and blood began to pool below his seat. Hiruzen watched on impassively, knowing this would happen since the first charge was read. He thought a silent goodbye to a man who had been his friend at one time. Mirai, if you would remove the Sharingan eye and order the body incinerated, I would appreciate it. Ensure the Sharingan is returned to the Uchiha clan as well. I believe Fugaku would appreciate the gesture. Let him know that I will speak with him at a later date to explain what we have discovered. Kinji maintained a neutral, yet imposing, tone as he spoke, and Hiruzen knew that his turn was coming soon. After the body was cleared out of the room and the blood was cleaned up, Kinji turned his gaze to Hiruzen and went through some hand seals before tapping Hiruzen's chest. The Hokage felt like he could move again, but there was still no access to his chakra. He fidgeted a bit as he tested out his ability to move and reconnect with his nervous system. Once he was finished, he met Kinji's unflinching gaze. Allow me to apologize, Lord Daimyo. I knew my friend took on darker missions in the past, but I was unaware that Root was still active, and I was unaware he had committed such atrocities. Please forgive my ineptitude, Hiruzen said as he bowed his head. There was a yellow glow emitting from the seal on his chest. Kinji sighed and rubbed his eyes, a gesture Hiruzen had become very familiar with. Hiruzen, you are an old friend and I wish to trust you. I was enraged by the extent of your failures, especially where Naruto was concerned. That being said, there is no other man for the job at this time. Your students vehemently denied the opportunity to become Hokage for reasons that are unclear to me. I need you to find a successor, Hiruzen, and you need to do it quickly. Find someone young that you can groom into a leader that will lead Konoha down the right path. Hiruzen nodded along. Sadly, Lord Kinji, I agree. There were many things that escaped my notice when I retook the position and I admit to my failures. I will do as you say, but did you have anyone in mind? Kinji remembered Naruto's words and who he wished to appoint Hokage, and Kinji couldn't help but agree that it was time for an Uchiha to have a shot at the Hokage position. I recommend Itachi Uchiha for the position of 5th Hokage. During my agent's review of Konoha, his name appeared several times in their reports with many good things to say. It would also go a long way in bringing one of the founding clans back into the good graces of the village. Hiruzen really missed his pipe right about now, but he shook off the distraction and processed Kinji's words. Yes, Itachi has been extremely loyal to me and the village. During the highest period of unrest, he was operating as a spy from within the clan. That boy possesses the will of fire, but don't you think he is a little young? Kinji scoffed. He is 19, Hiruzen, and if memory serves you were 17 when you took the La. Hiruzen frowned, but he had an answer for that. That was wartime. What about somebody like Kakashi Hatake? It was Kinji's turn to frown. That man is still weighed down by the past. He has been in the Anbu so long that he wouldn't know what to do in the light. He is one of the village's strongest, but my agents report that Itachi and Shisui Uchiha have already eclipsed him on that front. I will expect a decision from you, and I will look forward to you announcing your successor. If it is Itachi, have him take a genin team from the next batch of graduates. I think an Uchiha leading the Senju heir would be good publicity for Konoha. Hiruzen was about to respond when he truly considered the option. He admitted to himself that it would be a great idea and Itachi would be able to keep an eye on Naruto for him. That boy was hiding a great too many secrets and it concerned him. Finally, Hiruzen responded. Very well, Kinji. I will pull Itachi out of the Anbu in 7 months when the next academy class graduates. I will announce him as my successor at that time and I will give him Genin Team 7. Once his Genin are promoted, we will move toward instating him as the 5th Hokage. Kinji clapped his hands together with a genuine smile on his face. That is great to hear, Hiruzen. Now, this will also be the first semester for the exchange program. What do you have to report on that? Hiruzen sighed as he remembered the mountain of paperwork required to make this work. Well, in regard to Suna, they are sending Subaku no Gara, the Jinchuriki, and Mayuri, a wind mistress in the making. We are sending Shino Aburame, who wishes to use the opportunity to find different bugs, and a civilian girl named Am, who is the strongest civilian in the class. With Kumo, they are sending Samui, their top performer in the current class, and Omoi, a distant relative of the Reikage. We are sending Chuji Akamaiki, and a civilian girl named Clara. The Akamaiki volunteered because Kumo is known for body enhancement training and that suits his jutsu. Clara's family came from Kumo 2 generations ago and she wishes to see her ancestral lands. Kinji smiled at the cooperation between nations. War truly did nothing for the world and Kinji knew it, especially since he had seen what Naruto could do with seals. Very good. That all sounds very promising. What of Konoha's progress on Fuinjutsu? I know it is Naruto's fault that Suna is ahead of us, but with the clear improvement to Suna's quality of life, I would expect that Konoha would attempt to imitate those results. Hiruzen sighed and rubbed his eyes wearily. My relationship with the boy is still strained. He told me that he would provide material upon his return to the village that would equal Suna. Could you tell me why the boy prefers foreign nations over his own home? Kinji scowled at the stupid remarks. You have really lost your touch, old monkey. He left the village when he was 5, after his formative years being abused in an orphanage and then hiding from the village for a whole year. The only thing that tied him to your village was the memories of his father and mother. You should be grateful he still wishes to return at all. As for Suna, he is considered an honorary member of the Subaku family and the Senju clan are the heroes of Wave Country. If you are smart, you would swallow your pride and self-pity because you would realize that wherever that family goes, prosperity follows. Hiruzen assumed a thinking pose before he asked a question. Do you know how he ingratiated himself into the Kazekage's family? I know he is a lively boy, but he couldn't just walk into Suna and become best friends with the Kage's family. Kinji chuckled, and nearly broke out into a full fit of laughter. That is almost exactly what he did. He baited a meeting out of Raza after hearing about the Ichibi's attack on the village. He convinced the Kage that he could alter Gaara's seal to make him more stable, and then he delivered on that promise. It helped that Tsunade was there with him, but it doesn't discount his achievements. Hiruzen's jaw hit the floor. At 5 he was able to convince Raza to let him work on his Jinchuriki son's seal. That was simply unbelievable. You expect me to believe Raza let a child work on his Jinchuriki seal? Kinji cracked a wry smile. Believe what you will. The boy used a transformation to deceive Raza, a transformation you may be familiar with. Remember the seal mistress Rias Maki? She originated in your village what was it, the year Naruto was missing. Hiruzen remained with his jaw hung open, eyes bulging in disbelief for nearly 5 minutes as everything caught up with him. The rest of the meeting, Kinji took opportunities to share nuggets of information about Naruto with Hiruzen. He also warned him that the boy was under his protection, and he should damned well let the council know that. Kinji had zero doubts that there was going to be a mad dash to get the boy's power among the clans of Konoha. He also held zero doubts that Naruto could handle it. He just hoped the village didn't drive the boy insane. Return to Konoha, December 18, 12 years after Kyuubi attack. Tsunade, Shizune, Tun, York, Raza, Temari, Kankuro, Gaara, Mayuri, Naruto, Rias, Hikari, Kurama and Yosuke were walking toward the gates of Konoha. Rasa had helped acquire ID cards for Naruto's alter egos, which he still believed Kurama was one of, as a show of gratitude for all the boy has done for Suna. Tsunade officially adopted the alter egos into the Senju family so that they may have a life inside Konoha and a mode of independence from Naruto. She noticed that Naruto was happier and more himself when he gave the alters freedom from the seal, which was a relief to her and Shizune. The group approached the gates of Konoha with a variety of feelings, but it was finally time to return home for the Senjus, and they realized that Izumo and Kotetsu had spent the last 6.5 years on gate guard duty. They don't know who they pissed off or why, but due to their tenure in the position the duty was always given to them. They had come to accept the boring position. It gave them an opportunity to get first dibs at the latest gossip and they sometimes got to see cool things. Today was one such day as they noticed a sizable group of people walking toward the front gates at a leisurely pace. Rock, paper, scissors to see who deals with the group, asked Kotetsu in a sleepy voice. Izumo yawned before responding, nah, with a group that big we should both help out. Kotetsu answered Izumo's yawn with one of his own. Ah, come on, they can wait in just like anybody else. Suddenly, Izumo put his hands over his eyebrows to shield himself from the morning sun as he squinted to get a better look at the group. Hey, Ko, don't you recognize that shade of blonde hair? Kotetsu perked up, swung his feet off of the desk and squinted at the oncoming group. You idiot, you pick out the blonde hair and not the cage hat. Alright, look sharp, this should be the Kazekage that Lord Hokage told us to expect. The two gate guards stiffened their posture and threw on an air of professionalism that was immediately cracked by the young blonde. Izu and Ko, looking so professional doesn't seem right for Konoha's laziest duo. How ya, been? The boy chirped from 20 feet out as the group continued walking. The duo face planted as the words of the blonde boy cut them deep and true. After rallying themselves, Izumo and Kotetsu did their best to ignore the derisive sniggers as they processed the group's entry into the city. They were stunned when Tsunade introduced Shizune, Rias, Kurama, Yosuke and Hikari as Senjus. It seemed the Senju clan was no longer on the brink of extinction. The group made their way through the streets of Konoha as the lunch rush was about to start. Villagers and off-duty shinobi were staring, gaping or pointing at the group while gossiping with the villagers nearest them. Tsunade was a common topic of conversation, but phrases like, "Why is the demon with Lady Tsunade?" or "Did the Kazekage finally restrain the beast?" grew more common as people began recognizing the telltale whisker marks and blonde hair. The group was struggling not to kill. In fact, the collective ki was drawing the attention of Anbu patrolling the village. Naruto was holding Tsunade's hand as she snarled at the villagers. Shizune was restraining York, who was mad on behalf of his lil bro, as he called him. Temari was holding Naruto's other hand as a show of support and Rasa had already coated Gaara's shoulders in gold dust to restrain Gaara's and the Ichibi's bloodlust. Shukaku, having grown accustomed to his new seal and having made a contract with Gaara, was enraged by the humans that were disrespecting the only kid to have gained his and Kurama's trust. Naruto and Kurama had forced their way into the seal for a conversation with the Tanuki, who was stunned when Kurama announced that Naruto was the child their father spoke of. Naruto worked with Gaara to learn to control Shukaku's impulses and the Tanuki got some concessions in return. He was able to share Gaara's senses and he rather enjoyed being hailed as the guardian of Suna, rather than some hideous beast. Shukaku begrudgingly admitted that he owed a lot to the blonde, so to see the villagers hating on the child that had helped him reawakened his hatred of humanity. For the first time since he was resealed, Shukaku was subconsciously pushing his chakra into Gaara. Naruto noticed Rasa struggling to contain a snarling Gaara and put the hand he freed from Temari on his brother's shoulder. Relax, Shukaku, they aren't worth it. Thank you for getting mad on my behalf, but I have this under control. Naruto's words calmed both Gaara and Shukaku, but the Sand Tanuki would have words with his brother and his brother's container later about this. Hikari was holding Kurama's hand in an effort to cheer him up. Kurama's rage was eclipsed by his sadness of the terrible memories of Naruto's previous childhood. The kid had endured so much because of him, and he harbored a strong sense of guilt for his partner's pain. Naruto had done so much for him, rarely asking for anything in return. Kurama also knew that if he did anything, it would only complicate Naruto's life further. The end result was the mix of a frown and snarl on the kitsune's face as he edged into a protective position at Naruto's side. The crowds grew thicker, and the group drew more attention as they got closer to the Hokage Tower. Tsunade was already regretting coming back to the village, but she knew that she needed to be here for her grandson. She stomached her contempt for the village and squeezed Naruto's hand reassuringly as they continued the trip. She would set this right, because she would sooner blow up the village than force her son to endure another childhood of this nonsense. They were finally escorted into the Hokage's office and Hiruzen was accompanied by his 2 remaining advisors and Anbu operative Weasel. Naruto knew who Weasel was and flashed a smile at him, before turning his attention to the Hokage. Ah, welcome everyone to Konoha. Lord Kazekage, rooms have been. Hiruzen's greeting was cut off by Raza's raised hand. No need for that, Lord Hokage. I have already accepted an invitation from the Senjus for my family to stay at their compound for the duration of our visit. I am simply here as a formality to let you know that we have arrived, and I have brought my 2 exchange students. We will depart after the new year and your exchange students are welcome to make the trip back with me. Raza replied in a monotone. Hiruzen took a puff of his pipe as Raza spoke and exhaled a small cloud of smoke. Very well, that will be acceptable. I will be sure to let their families know. Please enjoy your stay in Konoha. If that will be all, I have some things to discuss with the Senju family. Tsunade caught Raza's attention and spoke to him. It won't take long. If you don't feel like waiting in the tower, you could meet us at Ichiraku Ramen, that is where Naruto wants to go for lunch. Raza nodded his head and flashed a smile at Tsunade. Very well, we will meet you there. Let's go, children. Raza guided the children out of the office as an Anbu appeared to escort him to the ramen stand. Tsunade turned her gaze on Hiruzen, Homura and Koharu. Now, I have some things that need to be discussed with you. First, you will withdraw your pointless lore about Naruto being Kyuubi's Jinchuriki. It isn't working and I will not force him to hide himself from this pathetic village. Second, you will announce that he is my grandson, and you will announce his true heritage. Third, this is Yosuke, Rias, Kurama and Hikari. I have adopted them into the Senju clan, and they are under my protection. Finally, should those retards out there continue to treat my grandson in such a manner, I will not be held liable for the body count. Tsunade's words were not requests, they were demands. Her tone was hard and devoid of any affection for those she was speaking to. Not recognizing the severity of her actions, Koharu spoke reproachfully to Tsunade. Tsunade, you cannot order us around. We are your superiors. The rest of Koharu's words were stuck in her throat as she was forced to the ground by Tsunade, Yosuke and Kurama's collective ki. Enough! Hiruzen roared, which caused the ki to drop marginally and allow Koharu to get to her feet. Elder Koharu, she is the Senju clan head, and you will show her respect. She has every right to demand the release of such information. But Hiruzen, that would compromise the security of the village. Homura tried to back up his fellow advisor. Tsunade's face was contorted into a mixture of rage and disgust. Sensei, I don't know why you keep these 2 worthless bags of bones around. They keep Konoha stuck in the past. As for you 2 old farts, you will keep your wrinkled hands away from my family. A staring match ensued between the Senju family and the 2 elders. It wasn't difficult to see who was winning. Hiruzen finally had enough of it and forced the elders out of his office, much to their protests. After the mood calmed down, Hiruzen addressed the Senju family. With a sigh, Hiruzen responded. Very well Tsunade, we will call a council meeting in 2 days to discuss your demands. In the meantime, please refrain from killing any villagers. At the start of the year, Naruto is to be enrolled in the graduating class at the Ninja Academy. What of your other adopted children? Tsunade scoffed before replying. Hikari will be opening a store that will sell our Senju-made products. Rias is a sealing mistress and will sell her tags through the store. Yosuke and Kurama will be our security as well as Naruto's training partners. York is just here until the new year to spend time with Shizune. I will retake my post as the head of Konoha Hospital and Shizune will be my second in command. I expect you to back me on this. The Senju family will fund the bulk of reforms to the medical program, so you have no reason to complain. Oh, and please compile a list of applicants and helpers for the orphanage. I want to help the children by building a new orphanage on the Senju compound that will include an entry-level school. Please post the job openings and conduct the initial screenings. Mama and I will take it from there. Naruto added, also more of a demand than a friendly request. Why would you create a new orphanage? And what qualifies you to do such a thing? Hiruzen asked skeptically. Naruto shrugged nonchalantly. Oh, I don't know, I built the orphanage in wave. Hired all of the staff, provided all the materials, built the orphanage myself along with the help of Tazuna, and I was able to save over 50 children from the fate that I was forced to endure. So, you tell me, old man, am I qualified to run an orphanage? Hiruzen's eyes flickered to Tsunade, who nodded with a prideful smile on her face. Very well, we will bring it up at the council meeting. Anything else this humble servant can do for you? Hiruzen asked sarcastically. Oh, can it, sensei? You deserve all of this and more. That will be all for now though. Tsunade replied. After dealing with the nonsense, the Senju family met up with the Sabakis and Mayuri at Ichiraku Ramen. Naruto was salty that Tsuki recognized Rias and Hikari before he addressed him, but he forced himself to remember that he had hidden himself in this life. Naruto had never officially met Ayami and Tsuki in this life, and it was sad holding one-sided feelings in his heart for the ramen chef and his daughter. Everyone enjoyed a couple bowls of ramen, and Naruto decided to become Tsuki's favorite customer once again by downing 20 large bowls of a variety of ramen flavors. Tsuki greedily accepted the money and generous tip Tsunade left him before he said his goodbyes to the group. For the next 2 weeks, the Subaku family was hosted by the Senju family. They enjoyed Christmas and New Year's as a big, extended family. Kurama's gift to Naruto was sharing the 1 minute in heaven where Kurama got to see Tsunade naked. Naruto wasn't ready for the memory and was launched back due to a nosebleed as everyone else was opening presents. Ria smirked and kissed Naruto on the forehead, sharing all of her memories with Shizune and Tsunade and other women in the spas and hot springs. This nosebleed was far larger than the last as Naruto passed out with a goofy grin on his face. Redoing Tsunade's seal had reformed her into the prime of her youth and she looked no older than Shizune, except a whole lot hotter. Naruto would struggle with thinking that his grandma was hot for the rest of his life, but he would never take it further than that. Rasa and Tsunade had grown close over the years, and they had fallen into a platonic and comfortable relationship with one another. He was probably the only man that could casually throw his arm over Tsunade's shoulder and pull her in close for a cuddle. The two powerful shinobi snuggled up on the couch and watched the kids open and exchange presents with smiles on their faces. Rasa offered prayers to Kami to protect Korura in the afterlife, which made the goddess laugh at the irony that the woman's soul was still in Gaara's seal. Inside Gaara's seal, Shukaku was attempting to comfort his roommate, who could see her husband cuddling up to the beautiful Senju. She knew she no longer had a place in the world, but that didn't mean her feelings could magically disappear. She would have forcibly separated the two if Gaara's sand god was anywhere close, but she was forced to watch through her son's eyes as the two cuddle like some proud parents. Korura leaned back into Shukaku's tail and decided to make the most of the one remaining relationship she had. After the first week back in Konoha, Naruto's heritage was announced, and it rapidly became even less comfortable to walk through Konoha. The apologies, being called Lord Senju, the Asuke and the residual hate from the few that still couldn't leave the past in the past. It all overwhelmed Naruto any time he left the compound, which meant that he insisted on using the body flicker or the rooftops for travel. The Subaku siblings could easily keep up with him and they enjoyed exploring the woods of Konoha with Naruto. Since it was their first time visiting, they were all amazed by the difference in environments. The lush woods, which seemed livelier in Naruto's presence, the warm, humid air, the overwhelming abundance of life and water were all in stark contrast to the arid deserts of Suna. Naruto showed them his favorite waterfall that was tucked away in Training Ground 42, which bordered the infamous Forest of Death. They trained there, ate there, studied there and swam there. It was their escape and Temari told Naruto that this would be their spot. Temari had continued to put the moves on Naruto, and nobody could really blame her. Naruto was 12 years old, 5 feet 6 inches tall, 140 pounds with a youthfully sculpted body that would make Might Guy proud. On top of that, he retained his father's good looks with a feral edge and deep, azure blue eyes. He was a great catch even before you bring his personality, strength and money into the picture. Not to mention Temari could never forget how much he had done for her family. She was making slow progress on the relationship front, but she was coming into her prime and her cup B were becoming deadly assets. Little did she know that Naruto actually liked her tight ass and long legs, but all guys are endless to their secrets. The day finally came to say goodbye to Temari, Kankuro, Raza and Shino. Naruto hadn't established a friendship with the boy yet, but he figured that since he was there, he should at least say goodbye. Naruto remembered Am was a bully and he didn't like her, so he wasn't going to miss her. He bumped fists with Kankuro before Temari pulled him into a big hug and placed an innocent K on his lips. Naruto gave Raza a hug as way of saying goodbye and the Subaku family left Gaara alone for the first time in his life. Of course, Naruto would make sure he wasn't alone. The first day of school. Naruto, Mayuri and Gaara walked side by side in front of Tsunade and Shizune as they entered through the academy's gates. It was only the second semester of the last year, so there was no grand ceremony or anything. They went to the headmaster's office, got their course materials and a note for Iruka and headed to class. Tsunade walked Naruto all the way to the door before she turned him around and wrapped him in a big hug. Be careful, brat. Don't do anything stupid. Enjoy your friends this time around and I will see you when you get home. Shizune will pick you up. Tsunade whispered in his ear as she attempted to crush him in a hug. Don't worry, Mama. I will be fine. Have a good day at the hospital. I don't know if you know, but I love you more than anything in the world. Naruto whispered back. Tears began falling from Tsunade's eyes as she gave one last squeeze before releasing Naruto. As she stood back up, she smiled and met his eyes. I love you too, brat. Gaara watched the scene with a sense of longing while Mayuri put a supportive hand on his shoulder. Korura felt it inside his seal, but she didn't want to reveal herself to her son yet. It would be difficult for him to know that she was trapped in the seal along with Shukaku. She flooded him with a sense of warmth and motherly love, which Tsunade gave him outside by ruffling his hair. You keep him out of trouble for me, Gaara. I don't know if you'll accept this, but I love you too, kiddo. Gaara was blown away by the affection he could feel from Tsunade. Korura was pouting inside the seal that the busty blonde stole her moment. Shukaku was cackling before Korura formed a giant sand ball and threw it at the tanuki's face. This led to a sandball fight in the mindscape, which would escalate into mental representations of the desert be reformed into an unrecognizable landscape. By the end of it, Korura and Shukaku vented all of their feelings and collapsed in a heap with their backs in the sands. Gaara, Mayuri and Naruto entered the classroom with Naruto leading the way. His black tank top showing through his orange biker jacket with the Senju and Uzumaki crests on each arm, his black headband to keep his unruly hair out of his face and his tan cargo shorts made him look cool. Gaara was in his standard Suna attire, but he had sealed his sand gourd into his right wrist with the help of Naruto. The whole class fell silent as the two new boys and Suna Kunoiki entered. Naruto walked up to Iruka with a gigawatt smile on his face and handed him a note from the Hokage headmaster. Iruka stood from his seat and handed the note to Mizuki. Okay, class, it seems the students from Sunagakure, and our last missing student have finally arrived. Why don't you three introduce yourselves? Iruka said with a smile on his face. Sure thing, Scarface. My name is Naruto Senju Uzumaki, I am the grandson of Tsunade Senju and the son of the fourth Hokage. I like training, coming up with new seals and running my businesses that make the world a better place. In case you haven't heard, I am the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. If you ever wonder why adults tell you not to hang out with me or if they say I am evil, that is why. I leave it to you to make your own opinions. Naruto excitedly introduced himself to the class. A stunned silence met his proclamation and hung over the class for 30 seconds, before Gaara just decided to get his introduction out of the way. I am Gaara Subaku, I am also a Jinchuriki of the Ichibi no Shukaku. I like the desert, training, my family and the Senju family. I look forward to learning with you. The instructors paled while the rest of the class was confused. Finally, a familiar pink-haired banshee stood up and broke the silence as she spoke in an outdoor voice. Sensei, what are Jinchuriki and why do these two say that they have demons in them? Iruka paled and Mizuki remained silent, so Naruto took the lead. Look, I will give you a brief history lesson. Jinchuriki means human sacrifice, and it is how humans have mistreated the Biju by robbing them of their free will and sealing them into shinobi for the sake of power. The Biju don't really appreciate it at all, so they get cranky and rampage when they break out. As for the Kyubi, it was first sealed into Mito Uzumaki Senju, the wife of the first Hokage, and my great-grandmother. The second Jinchuriki was my mother, Kushina Uzumaki, wife of the fourth Hokage. I am the third Jinchuriki, son of Kushina Uzumaki and the fourth Hokage. I cannot tell you much about that night due to security risks, but I will share what I can. An unknown enemy attacked the place where I was born and killed everyone there except my mother and the fourth. He saved me from the intruder, but my mother was taken. The enemy extracted the Kyubi and forced it to attack our village. The Hokage will probably be mad at me for sharing this information, but there you have it. With all of that said, I will turn the class back over to Iruka. Naruto, Gaara and Mayuri walked to the back of the class and sat down next to Hinata Hyuga. Every eye in the class watched the trio casually take their seats with incredulous looks on their faces. Naruto took time to wave to Samui and Omoi, having recognized them from his memories, which earned him a wave in return. The pair of Kumo ninjas were far more used to Jinchuriki than the people of Konoha since Konoha had always kept the Jinchuriki a secret. As the trio sat down, the trance that had fallen over the room broke, and questions were shouted, and loud conversations filled the room. Iruka used his big head jutsu to quiet the class down and attempt to regain some form or order. He fixed a stern gaze at Naruto and addressed him. Naruto Senju, it is not appropriate to reveal village secrets to a class of children that are yet to become ninjas. Iruka became enraged at the boy's casual shrug, so he continued. I will be telling the Hokage about this. Naruto shrugged nonchalantly and rolled his eyes. Feel free to do what you need to do, sensei. The old man won't do anything about it because they were all my secrets to reveal. I just wanted to be honest with my classmates and potential future friends. Honesty is the best policy, after all. Iruka was eventually able to move past the incident and began reviewing what the class had learned the previous semester. Samui, Omoi, Naruto, Gaara and Mayuri were extremely bored since this information should have been covered much earlier in the academy. Iruka, wanting payback for earlier, threw a piece of chalk at the sleeping Naruto. The boy casually caught the projectile and tossed it back to Iruka. He raised his head, yawned and addressed his new sensei. Is there something I can do for you, Iruka-sensei? Naruto asked tiredly. Yes, you can stay awake and pay attention. Iruka shot back. Why do I need to pay attention? This is all information I knew by the time I was 5. Plus, it is kind of embarrassing for Konoha that each of the exchange students seems to be well past this point as well. Iruka didn't know what to do with the boy. He wanted to kick him out of his class for being disruptive, but he feared the wrath of Senju Tsunade. Instead, an idea came into his mind, and he smirked at the child. Very well, Mr. Know-it-all, if you are so smart, why don't you come up and explain chakra theory to the class? Naruto yawned and shot the sarcastic look right back at Iruka. You want me to do your job for you? This comment got giggles from the rest of the class and steam from Iruka's ears. Okay, sensei, don't get your panties in a bunch. I will do it. Naruto rose from his seat and walked toward the front of the classroom. He took the chalk from Iruka and drew the chakra circulatory system on the board. He highlighted the 3 chakra cores and drew an advanced chakra diagram. Okay, I guess we should recap what we know. Chakra is the mixture of physical and spiritual energy that flows through our bodies in this chakra circulatory pathway. All humans have chakra, but only ninjas and samurai are trained to access and direct it. It is important to know that what we commonly refer to as physical chakra is actually yang-natured chakra. Yang chakra is generated by strengthening the body, muscles and organs. Yin chakra, or spiritual chakra, is centered out of the brain and it is composed and strengthened by knowledge, meditation and experience. The 3 control center in the chakra system, the brain, the heart and the core, all take in and mix our unique forms of chakra to form what is known as our chakra signature. Trained shinobi can recognize one another by their chakra signature, and it is traceable in any external jutsu you perform. The brain is the primary control center for genjutsu, and it has a far higher concentration of yin chakra than any other part of the body. The core, positioned under your navel, is responsible for most reinforcement or body enhancement jutsu, and it has the highest concentration of yang chakra. The heart has the steadiest mixture of the two and is what most shinobi use to perform jutsu. Naruto stopped there to see a stunned class and Iruka with his mouth open. Seeing as Iruka didn't tell him to stop, Naruto continued his lecture. Now, there are many factors that affect your chakra and the control you have over it. First, your chakra reserves, which is the total sum of chakra you have in your body. The higher your reserves, the lower your control, typically. Empty your reserves and you go into chakra exhaustion or chakra shock. Both can be deadly if not treated properly. Second, is chakra flow. This is the rate at which chakra circulates through your centers and coils. It is affected by the size of your reserves, the size of your chakra coils, the nature of your chakra and your emotional state. The faster your chakra flow, the harder it is to shape and control. It also makes it harder to change its nature. Take me, for instance. I have 3 times as much chakra as the Hokage. My coils are large for my age, but severely undersized for such reserves. Therefore, my chakra flow is significantly faster, even with chakra control training, than anyone in this class except Gaara. Third, you have your chakra coils, called tenketsu. These coils grow over time as we mature, and they can also be developed through consistent use of your chakra. The size of your tenketsu determines how much power you can call upon at any given time. The bigger your tenketsu, the more powerful your jutsu. The bigger your tenketsu, the slower and calmer your chakra flow becomes. This allows for shaping of jutsu and it also lets you strengthen them, which is why a rank ninjutsu from a genin is so inferior to that of a sannin. Next comes chakra density, which affects chakra flow and reserves. Chakra density is the amount of power condensed into a single unit of chakra. 1 unit of your chakra is weaker than a jonin, which is weaker than a kage. Us Jinchuriki have insane chakra density because so much chakra is wrapped up in our childish bodies. You may be jealous of that, but it makes it significantly harder to control our chakra. If you are ever curious, you could ask Hinata there to describe your chakra for you. Lastly comes a topic that these teachers will tell you is advanced, to which I call bullshit. Chakra nature describes the untampered, base nature of your chakra in its unaltered state. Most of you will have 1 chakra nature at this point, unless you have a bloodline that fuses 2 chakra natures. There are 5 base chakra natures: earth, water, fire, wind and lightning. Yes, Sakura. The Pinky stood and asked a question. What about things like medical jutsu, genjutsu and elemental bloodlines? I think there is ice, lava and a couple others. Naruto nodded. Well, as my mama said, medical jutsu is not a chakra nature. It is a conversion of chakra to a heavily concentrated yang form that promotes healing from the injured party's own body. Genjutsu actually has elemental components, but it is concentrated yin chakra that makes it work. As for the bloodlines, they are natural fusions of 2 of the base elements. Take for instance, the Mokuton bloodline. It is said to have been a fusion of earth and water, but I believe that it requires natural energy to make it work. A boy in a high-collared blue, short-sleeved shirt scoffed. Oh yeah, and what would you know? This boy had an superiority complex that was incredibly complicated and totally unwelcome. The screeches of fangirls followed the derisive statement, which reminded Naruto of past childhood memories. Naruto shivered as the memories ran through him, but he shook them off and returned Sasuke's smirk. Well, Uchiha, I work on chakra theory with Tsunade Senju. I have access to Hashirama Senju scrolls. I am the most advanced seal master in the elemental nations since the fall of Azuchi-Ogakure. Take your pick, I don't have time for a measuring contest with you, although, spoiler, I win. Naruto's smirk was feral as he stared down the childish form of the man that took everything from him in his previous life. Naruto was unconsciously emitting so much ki that students in the front row were fainting and Iruka was sweating. Okay, that is enough. Thank you for an interesting lesson, Naruto. You may return to your seat. Iruka mustered his sternest tone and used it on Naruto. Much to his chagrin, the blonde just shrugged it off and returned to his seat. While that lesson was far more advanced than anything that the academy course covered, Iruka admitted that he actually learned a thing or two as well. He continued the class until lunchtime without much incident. He just let the blonde sleep through his class to avoid causing another scene. He noticed that the foreign shinobi were indeed bored, which he took personally because he was proud of his role as a teacher. He would have to talk to the Hokage about that fact and possibly increase the difficulty of the curriculum. At lunch, Naruto and Gaara went out to the training ground and took a place by the big tree that was in the center of the field area. Naturally, Shikamaru grumbled about troublesome blondes taking his spot. Naruto gave his old friend a gigawatt smile as he invited Shikamaru to join them. An unseen side effect of proposing foreign exchange students was robbing Shikamaru of his childhood friend, Chuji. Naruto could tell that Shikamaru was taking the loss hard, so he decided to open with an offer he knew Shikamaru would never be able to decline. Yo, sorry we took your spot. Feel free to join us. I am Naruto and this is Gaara. Naruto kept the opening simple and childlike. Shikamaru, with his hands in his pockets and perpetually tired look on his face, answered the vibrant blonde. Sure, you troublesome blonde. I am Shikamaru, nice to meet you both. So, you are both Jinchuriki, eh? What's that like? Gaara responded in his usual monotone. Well, after Naruto helped me, it hasn't been too bad. It means you need to do far more chakra control than anyone else our age. Other than that, you share your mind with a Biju, who each have quite unique personalities. Yeah, my Biju saved my life multiple times as a child. I understand why people fear him, but let me put it in terms you may understand. When you seal a kunai into a scroll, does the scroll become the kunai? Is the scroll's only purpose to hold the kunai, or can it hold other items as well? Naruto added. Shikamaru laid flat on his back and looked at the sky. When you put it like that, the scroll and kunai are two separate entities temporarily bound by the sealing formula. Yup, and we're separate from our Biju, and while they are a part of our lives, they don't define us. Naruto added happily, before his face fell. So, will that group of girls ever come over here, or will they just gawk at us from a distance? Those troublesome girls are more likely to point, shriek and gossip than ever come over here. Shikamaru said, gazing at the clouds. Gaara responded in a flatter than usual tone, to borrow your line, that sounds troublesome. This earned Gaara a round of laughter from the boys, but it was clear that Naruto's thoughts were elsewhere. He looked around the field and saw that Sasuke was still an isolated jackass, Kiba ran around with Akamaru, Mayuri joined the rest of the girls in the class to gossip, and then he saw Samui and Omoi heading toward the group. As the two closed the distance, Naruto threw a friendly wave and smiled their way. Samui remained cool and collected, but Omoi happily returned the wave while sucking on a lollipop. Sup? Naruto chirped. Good day to you, Lord Senju. Samui replied. Naruto frantically waved his hands in front of him while holding his chopsticks. None of that. It is just Naruto, I despise formalities. It was Samui and Omoi, right? Samui gave Naruto a simple smile. She was 13, soon to be 14, which made her nearly 2 years older than the kids at the Konoha Academy. This was due to Kumo's academy program accepting students at 9 years old, and the program was 1 year longer. Samui could tell that the boy was powerful, and he radiated a cool vibe, but she couldn't tell if she would be able to complete the mission the Raikage gave her. Very well, Naruto, you were correct. I am Samui and this is Omoi, and we are from Kumo. Is it true that you are the son of the Yellow Flash and the Red Death? Samui replied in her same cool tone. Naruto aired an eyebrow at her, and if it were true. He could sense some ulterior motives, nothing evil, but Naruto suspected Samui had an added mission for her time in Konoha. He would play it cautiously, but he wanted to befriend Kumo this go around. Then that would be cool. Do you practice kenjutsu like your mother did? Samui asked with the first hint of emotion. Naruto thought that the sparkle in her eyes made her look far more beautiful than her normal impassive expression. Yeah, I actually do. You are free to come to the Senju compound for some kenjutsu spars after school. My brother Yosuke would enjoy that, and it gets boring fighting someone you know repeatedly. Naruto offered, and he noticed that both Kumo shinobi were excited by the prospect. Omoi popped his sucker out of his mouth. That would be awesome, Naruto. We will definitely take you up on that. I was worried we would get rusty since Konoha doesn't have many sword users. Sure thing, so where did they put you guys up for the semester? Naruto decided to go for a change in topic. They put us in the long-term rooms at the Greenleaf Hotel. The rooms are nice, but it gets lonely. Omoi informed him. Before Naruto could continue, Ino led a group of girls over to the growing group under the tree. The natural leader and overly confident girl spoke up as the self-appointed representative of the group. So, Naruto Senju, why were you out of Konoha for so long, if you don't mind me asking? Ino started, immediately directing attention to Naruto. Naruto returned her look impassively before replying. As I told you, I am the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Our generation just found that out, it wasn't the same story for the adults. Tell me, Muzino, would you willingly subject yourself to scorn, hatred, beatings and assassination attempts when you were a defenseless child? Ino looked taken aback. The question was quite shocking to the sheltered clan heiress. She had never seen the dark side of Konoha, and it was the same thing for each of the other girls in the little clique. No, I don't think I would. Naruto stood up and invaded Ino's personal space to whisper in her ear. I know that the Yamanaka specialize in their knowledge of the mind. It was bad enough that I developed MPD, please don't tell anybody. Let your dad know that I wish to schedule some sessions with him as well, please. Ino was embarrassed at first, but when Naruto shared that information with her, she was shocked and slightly terrified. Her clan took patient confidentiality as sacred, and she wasn't inclined to share this information with her friends. He told her in confidence and Ino immediately realized the severity of what he shared with her. Ino couldn't respond before a certain girl with pink hair made everyone cover their ears. Get away from Ino, pig. I don't care if you are a Senju, you will never be as cool as Sasuke. Sakura screeched while pushing Naruto away from Ino. Before responding to Sakura, Naruto winked at Ino playfully, as if the information he shared with her was no big deal. Then Naruto turned cold azure eyes on Sakura. I am sorry, I believe your name was Sakura. I would appreciate it if you lowered your voice. It seems like you failed to notice how many people cover their ears when you yell like that. Sakura blushed, embarrassed by a complete stranger. His self-defense mechanism kicked in and she raised a fist to punch Naruto, who caught the blow with one hand looking completely bored. Ino put her hands on Sakura's shoulders and guided her away, but not before she shot an apologetic look at Naruto. The rest of the sheep, I mean girls, followed Ino and Sakura away from the boys. The rest of the day passed without incident, but the night was interesting for Naruto. After returning to the Senju compound with Shizune and completing some rigorous afternoon training with Gaara and Yosuke, Naruto had an unexpected visitor. He was informed by Hikari, who was flittering around the compound after a day of manning their newly opened store. When she told Naruto that Hisashi Hyuga was there to visit him, he thanked her and told her to go let Tsunade know. The vibrant girl skipped off to find Tsunade, once again reminding Naruto of the innocence he had lost due to his previous life. Naruto walked to the front gates of the Senju compound and welcomed Hisashi in. Tsunade appeared as the two were walking toward the main house and joined in the small talk. They made their way through the house and into the designated meeting room before Naruto set up a privacy barrier. He sat down next to Tsunade and put on his professional mode. Hisashi had been eagerly awaiting the Senju's return to Konoha. He heard that they were hosting the Sabakis and knew that it would be rude to impose. Thus, he had waited patiently for his opportunity to meet his benefactors that may be able to help him. He had used the last years to acquire everything he could on the caged bird seal, and he wanted to get the counter seal as soon as possible. He opened with a bow to the Senju duo. Lady Tsunade and Lord Senju, thank you for agreeing to see me and for looking out for the Hyuga clan. I do not know how I can repay you, but I look forward to working with you. Both Senjus recoiled at the formality, but it was Tsunade that spoke first. Please, Hisashi, we are old friends. No need for formality when we are alone. So, to what do we owe the pleasure of your company tonight? Hisashi relaxed a bit before responding. Since Naruto has given me the counter seal to the prisoner seal, I have been trying to remain patient, but things are getting worse within the Hyuga clan. I am worried that Neji or I will be discovered soon. Why do you say that, Hisashi? What has clued them in? Naruto asked. Hisashi sighed. Well, there have been a few attempts by the elders to use the seal on me. I do my best to fake the effects, but it is tough to act like you are nearly dying. Luckily, Hiashi has protected Neji, but it is only a matter of time until one of those bastards attempts to activate his seal. Okay, Hisashi, the urgency of the situation is noted. Tsunade started. Were you able to acquire the source material for the seal? Naruto added. Hisashi nodded and pulled some scrolls out of his robes. This is what I have been able to gather so far. How long would it take you to create the counter seal? A strained look passed over Naruto's face. Removing the seal isn't too hard on its own. It is doing it without side effects that will take time. If I said 3 to 6 months, would that be acceptable? And when I am ready, I would need somebody to test it on. Hisashi grimaced at the response. It was longer than he was hoping to hear. We don't have much of a choice. When the time is right and you believe you have the solution, you can test it on me. Naruto nodded with a stern look on his face. I will get it done, Hisashi. Anything else to report? Only whispers of Danzo's death and the reintegration of Root. I have heard that the Yamanaka are working overtime trying to undo the damage caused by Danzo's training methods. Also, the Uchiha clan has been making overt efforts to regain the favor of the villagers, and they seem to have no opposition since Danzo died. Hisashi reported, which earned smiles from Tsunade and Naruto. It was your doing, wasn't it? Tsunade shrugged. The brat has friends in high places. When the time is right, those friends will help liberate the Hyuga. Hisashi bowed deeply to the Senju duo. Thank you so much for all you have done. I will continue to keep my ears open. Around the same time, at the Yamanaka compound, Ino was eating dinner with her father. She had told Inoki about Naruto's announcement to the class, and he confirmed that the information was accurate. It took Inoki a while to explain what he knew from a psychological perspective about Jinchuriki, which caused Ino to cry. Daddy, Naruto told me that he suffers from MPD. Were the villagers really that mean to him? Ino asked with teary eyes. Inoki sighed before nodding sadly. Yes, princess. From what I know of his early life, he had it pretty rough. Luckily, he was able to get out of the village and find Tsunade before it got too bad. But daddy, he has MPD, the books say that it requires significant psychological trauma to cause that. Ino shouted. Relax, princess. There is nothing we can do about that now except help him. Did he tell you anything else? Inoki replied in a resigned tone. He said that he would appreciate some sessions with you. We were around other people, so we didn't really have that much time to talk. All the girls were gossiping about how cute he was and about how he had a monster inside of him. Okay, I will reach out to Tsunade. Listen, princess, I know I don't need to tell you this, but tell nobody about what he shared with you. It seems like he wants to trust you and he told you this in confidence. Yes, daddy. Ino replied obediently. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.